Hi, welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are back here with Trish and Steve. Steve Bose, how are you?
I am well, Trish. How are you?
I'm
It's been
good.
a short minute or two since we've been live together. Good to see you, and yeah, it's great to be on the Work Break Live again.
I know we had to take a little bit of a hiatus. It got May and early June got crazy with travel, with work travel, and with work projects. So we did take a little bit of a hiatus. We are back. We're ready to talk. And special guest, everyone, we have JR here with us, JR Reyes from Rejig. He is the VP of North America. JR, welcome. Welcome to Work Break.
Thanks, Trish. Hi, Steve. How are you?
We're good.
Fantastic, great to see you, JR. What's tell us about you, and
Yeah.
then maybe if you can sneak in a little humble brag about where you're at today.
No, I love it. So, my name is JR, Jonathan Reyes, but everyone calls me JR. I've been JR for a long time. I almost forget my real name sometimes. VP North America, as Trish said, for Rejig. Lifelong practitioner. This is my first first time on the other side of the fence as a vendor. Spent most of my career in talent acquisition, talent management roles in the UK, in Australia, in Latin America, and I now live in the San Francisco Bay Area in Oakland and the East Bay. Um, so excited to be here talking about all things skills, rejig, life. As Steve said, I am under the Tuscan sun, as they would say.
Oh, sweet.
I
Gosh.
picked up a little bit of color and had a lovely lunch today. One of the advantages of remote work, right? So I've been away for a couple of weeks, got a couple of weeks to go. And, as we explore this remote universe, we are a remote first company here at Rejig. So, and the organization allows everyone to work up to a month away from their home base. So taking advantage of the fact that I have 3 children that should be in school camp and are now in life camp, as I call it. So having a ton of
Oh,
fun
I
out here.
love that. I love that. You know what? That's the first time I think I've heard someone say they sort of like can start doing it after a month. Could you maybe just share a little bit about like that and how that works for you all? Because I think people feel like it has to be either, fully remote or fully back in the office. How does that work for you all? Sort of starting in the
Yeah.
office, it sounds like, or a workplace.
So we started actually with an office, some office space in San Francisco and in Sydney,
Okay.
as we were growing. And one day we sat down as a leadership team and said, hey, look, let's be real. Most of our employees are actually in remote locations because we actually had a pretty
Right.
spread out hiring policy. And we noticed that people just weren't coming into the office and we didn't see a shift in the way we were operating. And so we said, let's do a first principles redesign. Let's build this company. And this is pretty early on. There's, probably maybe 20, 30 people at the company then. It's now much bigger. We're close to 80, 85, I think. I lost track of the number. And so we're like, let's pivot. And so we got rid of all of our footprints, office footprints, and now everyone is remote or Rejig, which has been fascinating because now you're building a company with remote first in its DNA.
Mhm.
It's bumpy, just like everyone else is feeling in terms of that transition. But it means that the operating rhythm and the cadences that we're building, are there for a reason because they allow us to operate in this world. So, for me, it means this morning I woke up pretty early, took some calls. I'll take some calls late tonight. But in the middle of the day, I got to have a lovely Tuscan lunch. So, there's a lot of
Wonderful.
pluses there.
Yeah. We're similar. We had both been working in our offices obviously before all of the pandemic hit and now we do work more remote and intentionally remote. So I think I don't know, it sometimes to me I feel like we are more creative when Steve and I are on the road seeing different things, whether we're in different cities, same cities. Actually, we're in the same place right now. We're both in Colorado, getting a little face-to-face time, even though we're in different buildings
Really.
at the moment. But
under the Denver sun, as it were, JR, which is
I
quite
love
quite
this too.
sunny as well. Not
Is
as
it?
romantic
Just
sounding, maybe.
it
it
was
doesn't sound
not,
as
yeah.
lovely.
But we did a
You
hike
know,
yesterday, JR. Are you a hiker at all? Like we hiked and it's pretty
I
rough here in
I
Denver
mean,
to hike.
it's Mile High City. It's like you're going up high and you're going up higher, right? Like there's some cardio workouts. I love it.
I
No,
could barely
not a
breathe.
not a hiker, but we do love a walk. So we, in the Bay Area, we do take advantage of all the greenery around us and all those lovely forests that the kids will take off and go for a long walk and enjoy that.
Yeah.
Um, you just made me think. I was having a chat with an ex-colleague who works at a retail bank in Australia, and they just said that, you know, everyone has to be in the office 3 days a week, or 50% across the month. And we were having a discussion, as most of us professionals are having right now. What does that mean for the organization? What does that mean for their talent? Um, and I was saying that, we're seeing this great segmentation. I was talking to another ex colleague at Atlassian who is going all in on their remote first. They want to be a company that they call it work anywhere. And then this retail bank is saying, well, actually, we don't feel it's fair or reflective of the business that we operate. So it's interesting seeing the segmentation of businesses and
Yeah.
the policy starting to reflect who they are and what they're actually doing as a business. So I'm fascinated by this. I think it's one of the greatest times to be a HR practitioner with these macro problems that everyone's trying to solve. So
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And JR, I think that's a great point. And you see like a lot of follow the leader stuff going on, particularly in financial services. You mentioned the bank. I see this a lot in the news we hear here on the big Wall Street type banks, the major financial services companies feeling like almost like they can get away with it once one or two of the very largest companies started bringing people back either on a hybrid basis, or really some of them now have asked people to come back 5 days a week. Then some of the other competitors in that industry think, okay, we can follow suit then, because talent, quote unquote, that they're maybe sort of fighting over, they won't have as many options to still remain remote workers if they wanted to. It's a fascinating set of challenges. Another set of challenges that we love to talk to you about, and we're excited to present tomorrow, along with yourself, JR, and Siobhan Savage from Rejig, is a webinar we're doing. It's going to run tomorrow all across the world. It's called Build, Buy, Borrow, or Bot, finding the right talent mix for your organization. And it's all about really kind of a lot of the philosophy and ethos of Rejig, right? As well as what organizations are facing right now about how to get the right talent in the right place at the right time. I'd love maybe JR to share a couple thoughts about that, and we can chime in as well, because we're really excited about the webinar tomorrow.
No, thanks, Steve. People often ask me, what made you change, what made you leave your role and start to explore being on the other side of the fence from a vendor perspective. And look, at my last piece of homework at Uber, I used to work for Uber, was to help create talent mobility, help move employees across the organization, 25,000 employees, multiple countries. And I kind of became enamored by the language of skills as a way to start to define the talent that we had. I used to have this really cheesy saying, we love going to the supermarket, but we don't ever open the fridge, right, or the pantry. And Uber was very good at recruiting externally, but it was very poor at moving people internally until, the CEO and CHRO started to say, well, actually, we need to retain our people and give them opportunities to grow. And that led me to a conversation with Siobhan Savage, our CEO, you're here in the webinar tomorrow. And the mission of zero waste potential that Rejig is trying to build, which really spoke to, the things that I was trying to solve for. And then this kind of concept that with zero waste to potential, that it isn't a zero-sum game, right? So you don't have to win as an organization, talent loses out. We see kind of the layoff, track that's happening right now. There is a way to start to define work and have the right people in the right place at the right time, and that helps the organization succeed. Now, skills to me became the language by which to start doing that, right? Letting go of the way of, how we select and choose individuals based on what they've done in the past, and just focusing on what their potential might be. And so, that started this great conversation that's now led into, a piece of technology that's helping organizations solve that. That's the other big narrative that we hear from talent, professionals, and human capital. How can technology help us solve these problems, going back to remote work? What are the big transitions that we need to have as a function? And I think that's one of the ones that's happening right now, which is super interesting. And I know you're here. Everyone that hears, and you should listen to the webinar. It's fantastic. Trish and Steve had some amazing points around how that can happen, right? There's this build, borrow, buy, and then the bot, with AI being such a topic of interest right now.
That's great. I'm really excited for everyone. Please, if you're listening to this, make sure that you check in on this tomorrow. We are tweeting the link just about every Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're sharing it everywhere, right? So definitely join.
Yeah, and you can go to rejig.com, reejig.com. Of course, go to resources and events, etc., and you could find it there. We hope a lot of people show up tomorrow as well. It's going to be it's a fun topic and important, as Jair said, really, really timely right now. That intersection of talent, skills, AI technology, and trying to make the most of people's potential. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Steve, as you spell it out, we often get asked, what does rejig mean? And, a rejig is a pivot, right? And, we believe in kind of using skills as a way to cross-pollinate and get people to expand on their current career paths. In fact, one of our tools helps employees do that at large organizations. Actually, and I'm a rejig myself. 18 months ago,
That's
I was
true.
leading a talent operations team, 200 people around the world. And then, 18 months later, here I am talking to you and helping to build a company, a SaaS company. And now, if I was ever in any doubt, I surely believe now I'm trying to cross-pollination and transferable skills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I love that too. And I think that, obviously people will hear more from Siobhan, but she was the same way, right? She was an HR practitioner for many, many years, and she saw that need in the community for this type of solution. So she also is a rejig, right? She's changed everything about the way she does it. And I love that story. I think we hear a lot of times from not just HR professionals, just professionals in general, or people in any job, right? They get a little tired of doing what you're doing, or you think, wow, I could really add value in a different way somewhere else. And it's a really scary step. So I'm glad that you're sharing your story of that.
And as ex-practitioners, we're very passionate about solving the problem and then making HR, a function where innovation happens, right? I think that's another big thing. And you'll hear that in the webinar without a doubt tomorrow.
That's
so
true.
you have to listen.
That's true. Well, listen, JR, here on the work break, we don't just talk work. It's about taking a break. Now you're in Tuscany, so hopefully you are literally taking like many breaks. But normally we don't tell each other. Steve and I don't tell each other what we're going to talk about. So I found a really interesting study, and when you hear what this study is, you might find it interesting too, because just of your background and where you said you're from and have worked. And so Duolingo just put out a study in May on the top 3 most confusing business terms around the world, right? So we don't have time to do every country, but the ones that I had written down and made note of were the US, Australia, and the UK.
Okay.
So I'm going to say what some of these are. We won't go through every single one in the interest of time, but I do want to hear, because there are a couple where I was like, I'm not sure I know what this means myself. So I think because you're very much a global, citizen, you can hopefully have heard of some of these as well. So in the US, the number one, like, most confusing business term for everyone is boiling the ocean. Do either of you say that? Do you use that?
I'd never say it. I think I know what it means, but I probably wouldn't say it.
Yeah,
I don't. Do you use that one?
I've heard it many times, but it's not one that I use at all, I would say. But I think it's unsurprising that it's number one, because I hear that a lot, and I used to hear that a lot in some of my previous organizations.
I wonder if some of these are generational too, because I'm thinking, like, I don't know who answered these questions, but like I knew what that was. Actually, I learned something though. It was talking about how boiling the ocean is used a lot in the by lawyers as like a positive term, right? Mostly we think of it as a little more negative, like, oh gosh, you have to boil the ocean to get through.
Yeah.
You can't even possibly do it. And they do it in terms of like if they've read and scoured every single piece of case law there is on a certain case they're working on, they've just boiled the ocean, like, in a good way.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So I mean, that's the flip side, right? If you're like, if you boil the ocean, you've accomplished everything. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
You've gone through, all that. Okay. Number 2, herding cats. I might be guilty of that at some point in my life. I might have said herding cats. I probably don't now. You guys herding cats? I can't see either one of you saying.
I've heard of it. No, I've not heard that in a while.
And another one, putting your ducks in a row. People are confused by what that means. I wasn't. I felt like I know that means, like, getting everything in order, right?
Everything's sorted, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's lining up your ducks in a row in the UK and Australia, but
right?
Again, I don't know if I hear that one as often.
Not
anymore, right?
Not forever. No.
Okay, we're going to Australia now. So boiling the ocean, also number 1. Shocking, right? Number 2, I have no idea what this means. Noodling. What is noodling?
I love that one. So that one I don't use as much anymore, because I have dropped some of my Australian language, because people go, what the hell does that mean? But noodling is like, I'm thinking about it. I'm noodling on that. Like, I'm trying to solve
it over.
Yeah.
I knew about
thinking
that.
Thinking it over. Yeah.
Okay, now that you say it, because I was drawing a blank. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Okay. And number 3 is low-hanging fruit.
That's
I'm guilty. I'm an
Yeah,
anti low hanging fruit person, but I am guilty of saying that probably here or there.
Yeah.
I have used that in the past, but probably less so now. But I
Okay.
think, I'm not surprised that one's pretty common. Actually, I
Pretty
hear
common.
that a lot in the US too. So that's a
Right?
big.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely. Okay. And now we're gonna go UK. Number 1, blue sky thinking. Do you ever say that one?
Ugh.
Either of you?
I have used that one. Blue
Okay.
sky
Well, here
thinking.
you go. People are confused by that, JR.
Is that sort of
Hey, let's see. What do you think?
coo-
What do you think?
Is that sort of a cooler way of saying think outside of the box, or no?
Or like
Is it?
big
I
picture?
don't know that term.
Big picture, grand
Big
scale,
picture.
big
Oh,
blue
picture.
sky. So you're
Okay.
thinking about the big picture. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we don't really use that in the US very much. Maybe, Steve, that should be blue sky thinking should be what we say.
How would
Right?
you say the equivalent blue sky thinking in the US?
Big picture, probably.
Yeah.
30,000 feet.
30,000 feet.
30,000
Okay.
feet.
For sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay, this
Well-
one I only know a couple of these. It's acronyms for number 2 in the UK. COP, EOP, and EOD. I know
End of
EOD.
day.
End of day.
And
Yeah.
What is COP and EOP? I don't know.
EOP and end of something, maybe.
I don't know.
All right.
Oh, wow.
You
Anyway,
stumped
we're
me.
gonna have to look it up.
Stumped
but-
us.
No stump does.
There we go. Duolingo's right. And the last one, low hanging fruit again in
Oh,
the UK.
yeah.
So
All right.
thanks
Well,
for playing. We'll send
thank
your
you.
prize. Steve, anything from you as we kind of wrap this up?
No,
today?
just
Right?
I want to encourage folks again to check out our webinar tomorrow. Trish, you and I, JR, Siobhan Savage from Rejig, we'll again share the links out the rest of today, maybe tomorrow morning as well. Hope a lot of people show up for Build, Buy, Borrow, or Bot tomorrow. And thanks, JR, for taking a little break with us. And hopefully you can get back out there in the Tuscan sun or the Tuscan moonlight here soon.
Moonlight,
and
probably at this point, right?
enjoy the rest of your day.
Trish, lovely to see you. And yeah, I look forward to that webinar tomorrow. Take
All
care.
right. Sounds good, everyone. Hey, thanks for joining us, taking a little bit of the time out of your day. Be sure and check out the webinar tomorrow, as we said. Also, you can find all of the HR Happy Hour podcasts on the network at hrhappyhour.net or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. We'll see you next time.